Did you set any goals for the new year? Is one of those goals to improve your artwork? Well, stay tuned because I have 10 ways to help you do that. Hi, Shanna Rowe Jackson here from Caution Artists at Play. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about different ways that you can improve your art. Now, it is the new year, and so this is the time when many of us are thinking of ways to improve our lives, and for us artists, that typically means improving our artwork. So I have 10 ways to help you do that, because obviously everything's easier said than done, but hopefully with these tips, it'll get you on the right track. Now, before I get into that, I do want to mention the footage that you will be seeing in this video is of a recent piece that I did of a ladybug on a leaf using the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pens on encaustic board. This video was not sponsored by either of those companies, but I did do this artwork in collaboration with Ampersand, and I do have a video over on their channel. So if you are interested in learning more about how I completed this artwork, because we're not talking about that in this video, feel free to go over there to their channel and check that out after you're done watching this video. I think that you'll really like it. Okay, so let's get back to the 10 ways to improve your artwork. I'm going to start with a few that are kind of obvious. So the first one is to create more often. And I know that's easier said than done. We're all busy, life is hectic, we have to make money, we have family members to take care of, but if you want to improve at something, you have to do it, right? Like that's the most obvious thing here. We know we have to do things in order to improve at them. And so it is important to try to carve out time for the things that are important to you, and if art is important to you, then you need to prioritize time for that. And it helps if you can work on artwork regularly, whatever that means to you. Now, you don't have to create artwork every day to improve, but to kind of have some sort of regular practice is really helpful. Now, here are a couple of tips to keep in mind. The first one is to know your limitations when it comes to burnout. You don't want to spread yourself too thin here. As I mentioned, we're all busy. So figure out what is regular to you in a way that is going to fit into your schedule, but not cause more stress or feel like a chore. You want to enjoy your time when it comes to artwork. And the next tip that is under this is to also kind of know your obstacles. Sometimes creating, the hardest part of creating is getting started. And so you want to remove any obstacles that are in your way between you and creating. If that means setting up a designated art space where you have your art supplies out and ready, try to do that. Even if you can't have a studio, just get it like a little corner of your bedroom if you need to, a place where you can have your supplies out and ready, where you can set eyes on them and you can go back to them at any time. I know for me, the cleanup and the setup are major obstacles. And so try to find like a space, or even, like I said, a corner of your kitchen table where you can have a few supplies out and ready, and so you don't have that obstacle. And really just reflect on yourself. Think about what your obstacles are, and think to yourself, the last time I wanted to create but I didn't end up creating, why? Why didn't I end up creating? What was that obstacle? See if you can find a solution to that obstacle and have systems in place so it makes it much easier for you to create regularly. Number 2 is to engage in intentional practice. We have all heard that practice makes perfect, but in artwork, that's not always entirely the case, right? Have you ever been in a place in your art where you're drawing the same things over and over again, but you're not seeing any improvement? That could be a case where you're not engaging in intentional practice. And in fact, when you are practicing in a way that isn't engaging in intentional practice, it can actually lead to bad habits that are hard to break in your artwork. And a lot of people call these things part of their style, but really in actuality, they just haven't gotten over the hump and learned a new or better way to do a technique. Now, intentional practice usually requires you to pick out 1 or 2 things that are bothering you and then make the effort to learn a new way to do those things. Now, you can do this by reading books or watching YouTube videos, or, going and looking at things from a new angle. For instance, say you want to practice facial features. and you're having trouble with the anatomy of the face and you're struggling with certain features of the face, it's always good to look at a lot of faces and to really look, not just with the eye that thinks it knows what it's seeing, but with your actual eyes, and look at what you're actually seeing there. And look at the face from different angles. Look at eyes from different angles and faces of different kinds of people. And practice those facial features individually. So it takes a lot of observation. It takes some research. You know, if you want to get better at anatomy, you should probably read some books about anatomy. And if you want to get better at portraiture, you should probably take a lesson online, even if it's just watching YouTube videos and taking free lessons on how to get better at portraiture. And sometimes just sitting down and drawing the same thing over and over again without any new information, I mean, that's not going to help you grow. You need intentional practice to help you grow. Now, that's not to say that hanging out in your sketchbook and doing something without the intention of growing is bad. That's not bad either. It's always good to exercise your creative muscles, no matter how you're doing it. But if you really do want to improve in something, if you're looking at your artwork and you're seeing a theme of certain, I don't know, like, not mistakes, but just certain techniques that you're just not a fan of, like you're looking at your artwork and you're like, I'd really like to improve there, then that's a good place to start when it comes to intentional practice. Figure out what it is that you don't like about your artwork, go out and find out more information, try different techniques, and then come back to your sketchbook and practice those new techniques and see if that helps you improve. Okay, so number 3 is kind of a fun one, and that is to give yourself occasional challenges or limitations. And this is where limitation can really actually help you expand your artwork. Do maybe a monthly challenge, or work with a limited color palette. Sometimes too many choices can lead to analysis paralysis. You know, sometimes you're like, wow, I have time to create. What am I going to do? And then you're like, oh, there's so many decisions, I don't know what to do, and then you don't even end up starting. Sometimes it helps if you just grab a few words out of a hat and use those as inspiration. Giving yourself limitations takes some of the choice away, but it also forces you to use creative problem solving. And that can stretch your mind and your imagination and just really lead to breakthroughs in your artwork. My next tip is to step outside of your comfort zone. The first step to growth is just outside of your comfort zone. And so that may mean trying a different medium, trying a different subject, maybe just working on a different size or format of canvas. Just try new things. And a lot of times you may try something that you never had a lot of interest in before, and you will find that it has like a certain quality to it that you can end up bringing back to your other artwork. And really, the more experiences you have, the more well-rounded of an artist and a person you will be. So I always recommend trying new things, especially if you are in some sort of creative slump. And this is particularly helpful if you are experiencing like artist block or something like that. Try something totally different outside of your comfort zone, even if that means doing something creative that isn't in the visual arts realm. You know, maybe go and sing, or try to get into a theater production, or just do something creative outside of your comfort zone, and that will definitely spark your imagination and your creativity and make things fun for you again, and it will most definitely lead to some growth as an artist. Okay, so number 5 is extra fun. And this also goes along with going outside of your comfort zone. And that is to go on an adventure. And that may not be an art-related adventure, but it is good to get out and to see the world. And it doesn't have to be art-related, but you could feel free to bring your camera or your sketchbook in case you're inspired while you're out and about. But experiencing life outside of the art studio is a great way to bring inspiration back to your life and to your work. The more experiences we have, as I mentioned before, the more rich our lives become, and then the more well-rounded our artwork also becomes. So if you're feeling stale, or you're feeling like, oh, everything's just the same old routine, definitely get out and try to have an adventure, even if that just means going to a local park and taking a walk for a little while. It doesn't have to be crazy. You don't have to go on a vacation in the Bahamas or anything like that, but just something different outside of your routine. Number 6 is related to number 5. While you are out on your little adventure, you need to observe, observe, observe. Look with intention. Just like we spoke about intentional practice, intentional observation is just as important. Really take in the world around you. Take photographs, take sketches, but sometimes just take a chance to sit there and look. Like if you are in a forest and you're like just breathing in the fresh forest air and experiencing all your senses, just take the time to really see the colors, the light, the way the light filters through the leaves. I often like to sit and look and trace things with my eyes. Like, how would I draw that? If I'm looking at a tree, for instance, or a person, kind of trace them with your eyes. Figure out, how would I actually draw this person if I was to draw this person? People probably think I'm creepy because, and it's really weird because I still do this even though I don't do a lot of portraits anymore. I used to love doing portraiture, but I just hasn't been my thing lately. But when I'm looking at somebody, I am often figuring out how I would draw their nose or how I would draw their lips. Like I'll be like staring at their mouths while they're talking, because when somebody talks, it's very individual. The way their mouth moves, the way their tongue like interacts with their teeth. I know it's all very strange. I know I'm a weirdo. I know I am. I know some of you are weirdos too, though. That's why we're friends. Okay, so don't judge me. But anyway, I do that a lot, you know, when somebody's talking, because mouths and eyes are very, very individual. And it's a great way to practice in your mind before you even get to paper. So say you're out on vacation and you see a beautiful sunset on the ocean, and you know that you're going to go home and you're going to want to paint a picture of this. So you're taking photos of it. But in your mind, be thinking, how would I mix that purple? How would I mix that particular bright pink? What color even is that? You know, think of these things ahead of time. A lot of creation happens outside of the studio. It happens right here, which is why I have insomnia, because it usually happens when I'm trying to sleep. But that is another way to improve your art, is to think about creating even when you're not at the easel, and to use your eyes to observe and really, really intentionally observe in a way that is going to help you when you get back to the easel and you get to paint that picture that you are just so excited about. So number 7 is also going to require you to look. Okay, sorry. I told you I was a weirdo. I just told you. I already warned you. But anyway, look at art. Look at lots and lots of art. Look at how other artists do things. How do they handle color? What brush strokes are they using to get their desired effect? Look at art in every style, even if it's not a style that you currently work in. Look at art books, go to museums, and look at art up close. I had a professor that said, if you are not close enough to the art in museums to make the security guards second guess what you're doing, you're not looking close enough. Look as close as you can without touching the art. Don't touch the art, never touch the art. But really look and observe what artists before you have done, what other current artists are doing. Read about different art movements and what has influenced your favorite artists. Go to galleries and museums and look at art up close. No man is an island, and each one of us is part of a bigger art picture. This will help you understand where you and your art stand in our art history, because we're all part of it. We're all part of this moving, ebbing thing that we call life. Sorry, now I'm getting weird again. But basically, none of us is an island. We have unique ideas within some sort of spectrum, right? Because nothing new under the sun, we all know. We're influenced by others even if we don't realize it. So it's good to look at other art, again, with intention, so that you can learn and breathe art and bring that back to your own art practice in a way that suits you and your own style. I'm not advocating for copying other artists or trying to rip their style off. Just let it come into you, mix around with all your other experiences as a person and as an artist, and see what comes out naturally, because it is a great way to improve art. I, for one, love the Impressionists. And one of the things that I loved about the Impressionists is their use of color and their use of contrasting colors. So even in my realism work, even though my artwork is not as painterly as impressionistic work, I am often using colors in the way that Impressionists did to create emphasis. I'm often using contrasting colors in my shadows and things like that, you know? So you can learn a lot from other styles and bring it back to your own artwork, even if it isn't obvious. So definitely be looking at art. Okay, so number 8 is, if you compare yourself to others, please do it in a way that inspires you. Thinking about where another artist is in their journey compared to where you are in yours can get depressing, right? So that's not good for growth. Nobody's doing much of anything when they're feeling down about themselves. It's just human nature. Now, some people can use it to drive themselves, but I don't know if that's necessarily a healthy way to drive yourself. Negativity can be a motivator, but who wants to live in negativity, right? It's negative for a reason. So if you are looking at other people's artwork and it's getting you down, take that as a sign to kind of step away and maybe not follow that person for a while. Take a breather and, put your mental health first. However, a good way to compare yourself to others, or to at least get inspiration from others, is to look at their artwork and see it as something that's possible. I like to think, if this person is able to physically do this, right? They're able to physically create this artwork using pigment or, pencils or paint or even digital. Like, that means it's possible. That means this can physically be done. I just need to learn the skills to do that. So look at them as a way of seeing what is possible, not in a way to make yourself feel bad about where you're at. They had to figure it out at some point too. None of us came out creating the artwork we create today, right? We all had to learn. And so it's very important that when you are online or you are observing other people's artwork, that you are kind of checking in with yourself and seeing, is this a positive experience or is this a negative experience? Is this going to help me grow as an artist, or is this going to make me feel like I don't want to create? And then if you are feeling down about certain content, feel free to unfollow. Feel free not to engage in that content, because you do need to take care of your health as a person and as an artist if you want to improve on your artwork. Because as I said, if you're feeling like you don't want to create, then there's a chance that that's going to be an obstacle for you and you're not going to create as much. And then you're not going to improve. And then you're never going to get to that point that person that you were just comparing yourself to is. So know yourself and just be very careful when comparing yourself to artists, and just use them as inspiration and in a positive way that inspires you and doesn't discourage you. Number 9 is related to that last tip, and that is to loosely track your own work over time. I have said it before, and I will say it again. When you look back and you compare your current work to your old work, you will always win. Because you are a different person now. You have likely grown as a human being and as an artist. And now, obviously, there's a caveat to that. Maybe you've taken like a 10-year break and you're feeling a little rusty. But it will not take long to get back to that old work, and then you'll continue to grow. Trust me, I've had to take time off. It will come back to you. But in general, if you have been engaged in intentional practice, if you have been creating often, and if you have been focusing on your artwork, then most likely you are better than you used to be at art. If you're comparing yourself to somebody who has 25 years more experience to you, then obviously there's a chance that you're going to feel like you're not winning, right? But when you compare yourself now to who you were as an artist 10 years ago, most likely you're in the lead, right? You're winning either way. So just keep that in mind and use that as a way to give yourself confidence to keep going. Okay, so number 10, and this one is really, really important, and that is to celebrate the small wins. Sold a print? Celebrate. Sold an original? Celebrate. A brand wants to work with you? Fantastic. You finally conquered oil painting after years and years of fighting with it? Hell yes. And it could be big or little. You finally saved up enough to buy that set of Holbein colored pencils. Or maybe you just tried a new technique and you kicked ass at it. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it feels good to you. It is so important to celebrate your wins. Dance in the studio. Treat yourself to a night out on the town after you've sold an artwork that's been in your studio for 10 years collecting dust. Appreciate the journey and how you got there. Celebration gives you something to look forward to, and it really kind of gives you a reason to keep working through those trenches. And artwork is hard work. That's why work is in the word. Right? There is a lot of work involved, and so feel free to celebrate. You deserve to celebrate when the hard work pays off. You deserve to feel good about how far you've come. That doesn't make you conceited. That means you have busted your butt, and it is paying off, and you are appreciating the fact that your hard work has paid off. So don't forget that, because I think it's very important, and it definitely helps in your journey and in your growth as an artist to take that time, take a breath, and say, yeah, I did that. Okay, folks, that's all I have for you today. I hope that you liked this video and that you found it to be helpful. Please let us know in the comments below, how do you keep going as an artist? How have you improved over the years? Let us know your favorite tips, because I love it when we can have a conversation and all learn from one another. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you want to see more like it. And if you want to see more that I already have, check out this video. You might like this one as well. Bye.